darlings. This is another episode of Ink Medicine. I'm here with my friend Luoi, who I just tattooed just a couple weeks ago. Please introduce yourself, friend.
Hello, I'm Luoi. Micah tattooed me a couple weeks ago.
That's correct. Okay, so what I want you to tell us is your pronouns.
She, they.
And what era did you grow up in?
What era did I grow up in? I was born in the early 80s. I was born in 81. I'm 41. So, that era?
That's the era, yeah.
I don't know what era that's considered.
Like the 90s, I think?
Sure.
Like growing up.
Yeah, I was more cognizant of my surroundings in the 90s. For sure more than I was in the 80s.
Yeah, so let's call it that. That's, it's a legible way to put it.
Great.
What other identity markers would you like the audience to know about you?
Let's see. I'm Vietnamese and Mexican, half-half. My mom immigrated from Vietnam after the war. And my mom and dad met in Texas after her family immigrated to Louisiana and then to Texas. Weird.
You're queer.
I'm pretty queer.
I mean, you gotta say it yourself, I don't have to say it for you.
No.
They can't see you.
I'm queer and strange. So all of the queers.
Different kinds of queer.
I'm also a dog magnet.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty slutty dog, but you are a dog magnet. That is also true.
Yeah. Yeah. I identify as dog magnet.
Right now, Lulu is
like
laying in Louie's lap, like paw on, face like in their armpit. I might have to put her in the crate because she's a lot. It's a lot.
It's very cute.
My last getting to know you question is, what is your favorite tool to use?
It depends on the scenario. I have an everyday carry multi-tool that I
mean, you could
use.
be like a boiling pot, like a pot for boiling water. Like it could be like anything. It could be a work specific tool, or it could be a life tool, like a toothbrush is a tool,
For sure.
Yeah.
I have tools for specific jobs, so I think that's a hard one. I did once wanted to make a entire photo project of tools that had been made as specialty items for people's jobs. Like, this stick is exactly this long, and it's the thing that I use to push these logs down this run because it keeps my body safe or whatever. And that was a really funny thing that went absolutely nowhere because I don't know enough people and enough weird trades to investigate that.
But you do. You could photograph like a tattoo machine.
That's true. But a machine is a machine.
Oh, you're thinking of more simple tools, like hand tools.
A little bit more simple, but also a little bit more complicated because it's like a long-handled screwdriver that has this thing taped to it that got taped to it in the 70s and handed down from my grandfather, who was also a mechanic, whatever. It's the only tool that reaches into this specific place to do this specific special thing. I don't know.
That's so funny. I chose just the right question to ask you.
Yeah. I love it. I love people's specialty tools, but I think even those people wouldn't describe those tools as their favorites. So I think it's still sort of avoiding your question by accident.
But that's still I don't think I know anybody else who've fantasized about a project like that. So there you go.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, you travel all the time. Like whenever we're texting, you're like, I'm off to New York, I'm off to LA, I'm off this, that.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like I don't think I'm clear on what exactly it is you're doing when you're going off traveling to these places. Like,
often when I'm traveling to those places, I don't know until I get there, which is a little bit of a funny situation. I travel for work. I mostly do production when I travel. So I work in corporate event production, back of house. Just worked at 10,000 person JP Morgan thing in San Francisco. I'm trying to remember what the one before that was.
But what's your part in that? Are you a person that's organizing other people? Are you technically doing things?
It depends on the event. This last event, I was handing out PPE for folks who were a part of setup and teardown. And the event before that, I was organizing trucks and doing load in and load out logistics, because it takes several large trucks to load in equipment. And then out equipment, of course. I've been the dock manager and been a labor supervisor and helped sort people into spaces and been a technical director. I've been a PA, of course, because everyone's been a PA at some point. I've done a bunch of coordinating, which is mostly paper pushing as far as I can tell.
You're a person of all trades.
I like to do whatever the thing is that needs to get done. Mm-hmm. And I'm fairly approachable because I'm also a short female presenting person with long hair.
I love that you think you're approachable. I mean, I'm sure you make yourself approachable when you need to be.
Yeah, I smile a lot when I'm anxious. I think I'm anxious a lot in public, and so people approach me a lot.
Somebody I was recently talking to said that they have resting friendly face. And I love that because I don't.
Yeah.
And I've also never heard anybody refer to their face as that.
Yeah. I do that for the work that I do when I travel. And the work that I do locally is with a company that does permanent AV install work for corporations, normally companies that are moving into new spaces. So we do a lot of pre-construction, which is a silly way to say that we fit into the places in between other trades, because we're putting speakers in ceilings and cameras on walls. So the walls have to be up. And some amount of finish has to be on the wall before we can do our job. So we don't get to go in the beginning when they're putting all the studs in the walls and deciding where doorways go and whatever. So that's fun. Most of my jobs have a lot to do with me being able to read drawings, which is neat. It's always something I wanted to be able to do. And I think that I've proven myself adept enough at it to be able to do these things, which feels nice.
Yes. Back to your being very butch and approachable, as you say.
Very approachable, extremely
You have a
approachable.
very good radio voice.
Oh, that's good.
Very buttery.
This is very good for this, I think.
It's good for this and good for other things, maybe for approachability. Also good. You have 2 partners.
I do.
And you travel all the time. How do you make that work?
When I started traveling, well, I've been with my wife for 8 years, and I've been with my partner for 4. We just celebrated our 4-year anniversary. And when I started doing work that was taking me away from home, I consulted them both. And it was actually before I was with my partner. They've both done a lot of travel work. My wife used to push cases in Boston and used to travel a fair amount. And my partner used to travel with Broadway shows. And they both did that thing, and it wasn't for them. I think that there are occasional gigs that they like or would like to pick up, and they do when it comes up and it's convenient. But they were very supportive of me figuring out how to fold into that lifestyle.
So when you come home from a gig, say you've been away for a month and you're only home for, I don't know, a week or 2. Mm-hmm. How do you split your time?
If it's only a week or 2 that I'm home, I split it probably 2/3 at home with my wife and 1/3 with my partner, if I can. I think our arrangement is a little bit different than most of the other arrangements I know of. Up until recently, we had scheduled a night every other week with my partner, which didn't really feel like enough. And so we changed that arrangement around. And there's a lot of negotiation around that for us. And a lot of changes. I think that I've stayed at my partner's house once this week already, and I have another overnight planned with them this weekend. So that changes up a bunch. But if I'm only home for a brief window of time, I try to make it a little bit more of an even split and give myself some time to see my friends and ground. I find it very grounding to interact with the people that I love that aren't my partners. When I'm home, I get a little bit not panicky, but a little anxious about being away.
When you're home, you get anxious about being away in general? Like you feel like you're away
No,
too
when
much?
I'm away for...
When you're away, you get
Yeah.
anxious about... Yeah, that makes sense.
When I'm away for long periods of time, I get anxious about my connections with people and well, how that affects my relationships and what kinds of things I'm missing out on that are important to the people that I love. My mom traveled a lot for work when I was young, and it was difficult. I think there were a lot of things that she wasn't around for because of work.
Right.
And that was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you missed her being there for you.
Yeah. She was around for the things that she could be around for, and that was good. Obviously, you know, work doesn't schedule around your personal life, so...
But it should.
But it should. And I think that's another one of those very fun, interesting things that happened during pandemic. People sort of figuring that out. But if I'm going to be away, and I know I'm going to be away for a month, let's say, then I have made it a point, more in the recent past, but have made it a point to have my partners come and visit me or find a window of time when it's possible for them to come and stay for a weekend while I'm away.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's nice.
Do you date outside of your two relationships?
I haven't yet. I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility, but at the moment I'm the only one of the three of us that's dating anyone. That's not true. My partner started seeing someone recently, casually, but has only gone on one date with them. But plans on going on other dates.
But you're not officially a closed V. You're...
Oh, no, we're not closed V.
All three of you are.
Yeah.
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 When did you find polyamory?
I think that I found polyamory when I was in my teens and didn't know that that's what it was called. My best friend and I always fantasized about buying a house together when we got old and us having, I guess, a bedroom, because that's what adults are supposed to do, but each having our own spaces and then our partners having their own spaces. And I wasn't romantically involved with him. I think that our concept of needing to have a bedroom that we shared was more for the sake of visibility, proving to the world that we were normal, in quotes. And it never occurred to me that that's what we were thinking about. Respecting or acknowledging the depth of the intimacy of our friendship and having space to have partners aside from that and supporting each other and having partners.
So it's kind of like a polyamorous situation without like literal sexual polyamory.
Yeah.
Yeah, like emotional polyamory.
Yeah. And I don't think that I realized until I was significantly older that that's the thing that we had been fantasizing about all of that time, was a space where we could all have our own space and have space together, and that could be amorphous and we could change it and make it whatever we wanted. And it always seemed so fantastical. And not at all like anything that I knew about. So I definitely didn't think it could ever be real.
Do you have an ideal of polyamory in terminology? Like, do you have an idea of like, you like to have a primary and a maybe a second primary, and then, or do you, are you in a relationship anarchist? Like, do you have an identity around specifically polyamorous terminology?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm married, so I have a spouse and I have a partner. But
you would say not one of them is primary, or you would say that one of them is primary?
I mean, in the most ideal of worlds, I think that these are my primary relationships. Mm-hmm. I, as you well know, like check in with them both separately when I get places. I communicate with them separately. Most of the time, there's some like travel dates and things that I send them together in group texts or group emails, but for the most part, I keep them on individual threads because I think that they both deserve that type of interaction and attention from interaction.
Do you think that your polyamory and your queerness are intrinsically linked? You know, when we are queer, right, we have to make our own way and find our own path through the world and through relationships. And so I think a lot of queer people find their way to polyamory because they're queer, because they have to think outside the box. Do you think those two things are linked for you, or they're two separate identities that could be separated out?
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I think that being queer allows for the type of polyamory that I've experienced. I think that being queer has allowed for the openness and depth of relationship and connection that I have with people that has made me feel secure enough to explore polyamory.
It sounds linked.
So, yeah.
How long have you been getting tattooed for in your life?
When I was 18, I entered into a piercing apprenticeship, and I think before I turned 19, I started getting tattooed. At the shop I worked at, we ended up having a resident tattoo artist.
How did you start? How did you get involved in that? Also, like, you have immigrant parents. What did they think of that?
Oof. I don't think my mom knew about my tattoos until I had...
Not just tattoos, but that you went and decided that you would be a piercer.
Oh. My mom told me that I had to be in school or I had to work. And the apprenticeship was both. And I went to college. I tried my damnedest, and I just could not struggle through classroom learning. It's not a format that feels good in my brain. It makes things bounce around in there instead of absorb. And it makes me uncomfortable. So I found this piercing apprenticeship, and she was mostly fine with it. I don't know. I was 18.
Yeah.
I think she was a little strike out on your own, go do the thing you're going to do, work it out.
Did you end up working as a piercer?
For the amount of time that I worked there. It was an unpaid apprenticeship. It was a bit much. So I worked there, and then I ended up getting a job, my first warehouse job. And that took over a lot of my time because minimum wage used to be significantly lower. So it took a lot of hours to make the money I needed to do the things I wanted to do. I stuck it out for the 3 years. And it was a 4-year apprenticeship, so I never...
That's a really long time to learn to pierce.
That was...
Like, I was in a 1-year apprenticeship to tattoo, and that tattooing seems a little more complicated. I mean, of course, there's a lot more to piercing than just like an ear.
Yeah.
But, you know, what could you possibly be learning for 4 years?
Sterilization and cross-contamination and body placement and feeling and breathing and being connected.
Sounds like they actually just wanted more free labor from you.
I think that is probably a part of it. I think that there was a lot. I mean, I spent, 4 or 5 hours a day just sorting jewelry and cooking things in an autoclave. And
that's wild.
Yeah, it was a long time. And I was maybe there 3 days a week. But it was still, it was a chunk of time. It was a big part of my life for a long time.
Could you still pick up a needle and put it through someone's nose, or?
I would be comfortable doing play piercing. I don't know how much I would want to put a permanent piercing in anyone. But I wouldn't say no.
Like, you'd try it. Give it a good old try.
I mean, I have pretty steady hands.
Yeah.
And pretty good muscle memory, so I wouldn't be opposed to it. I don't know if I would be, like, confident or competent enough to charge someone for that service. But I feel pretty good about it. I normally put people's captive beads back in after surgeries and things.
That's good to know. Good to know you're the person available for that.
Yeah, I am available for that type of service.
Cool. So you got tattooed there for the first time by the resident tattoo artist, you said.
Yeah, I used to ask her a lot of questions. I was the shop apprentice, so I used to set up her trays. And I would ask her a lot of questions about what she needed. I would watch her make needles. I watched her. It's probably my introduction to soldering, because she soldered her own needles.
People used to do that right before I came on the scene. They used to do that. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy needles then too.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, that was 22 years ago. It was really expensive. I mean, Jesus, piercing jewelry was abhorrently expensive then too.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I mean, even like early 2000s, going to get a simple piercing would be like so much money. Yeah.
It was so expensive. Yeah. It was impressive. It's very bizarre to me that was such a weird period of time. But I used to ask her just loads of questions. That's an important and or interesting personality characteristic that I didn't know was unusual that I carry. I have no ego or shame around asking questions if I don't understand something.
That's a really rare quality. Most people get really wrapped up in their ego.
Yeah. I am absolutely happy to ask a question just in case that thing is hot, so that I don't have to touch it and burn myself. I'd like to trust the experience of other people, especially people I trust and the people around me. Normally, the people around me are the people I trust.
Right, you surround yourself with people you respect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I used to ask her a ton of questions. I used to ask her about how she made needles and how she got into things and why she did things the way that she did and how she made sure that her equipment stayed safe and serviced. And
well, the other rare quality is that she answered your questions.
Yeah.
That's also, in my experience, a lot of people don't want to, they don't care to spend the energy to answer the questions, even if they don't.
For sure.
Even if they're not specifically not wanting to share information, they still just don't want to spend that energy. So I'm glad that your person there was open to the questions.
Well, we were there a lot together.
Yeah.
And there was not a lot going on. I asked her a ton of questions about tattoo placement and not mythology, but sort of standards and conversations about how and why, and lettering and imagery and classic imagery. And she came from a shop that did a lot of classic sailor tattoos. And it was really beautiful and really interesting. And she did some twists on that. And it was really, really lovely work. Mm-hmm. But I was curious about it because I didn't know why people put things the places that they put them. So I asked. So
was her thing about it that she helped people choose where to put things, or that people came in and this culture was really different back then? I feel like tattoo artists were tattooists. They weren't tattoo artists, or not most of them, right? And so people would come in and say, I want that spider over here on my knee, and people would just do the thing.
Yeah. She is and was an artist already. Mm-hmm. So she was freehanding a lot of designs. Mm-hmm. She would do a little bit of the thing that I feel like the tattoo artists that I respect and follow do. Look at an image, put their stylistic twist on it, and then draw it. Mm-hmm. She did a lot of freehand drawing and would do the thing where she would go over her drawings a lot so that her lines would be really smooth when she would finally sit down to tattoo someone. And I know that because I asked her about it. Mm-hmm. Great color work. Beautiful, awesome, lovely. I only ever got black and gray shading.
How did you decide what to get, since you were there for watching and learning from her doing all these probably hundreds of tattoos over those few years you were there?
Hundreds, yeah. How did I decide? I knew that I wanted something that had to do with the elements, so I got some elemental tattoos. I have the moon and clouds on my back across my shoulders. Across my shoulders.
The first one?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And on my back, because it was from someone who I love, and it was a part of my past, so it's something I want to keep with me. that I can't ever really walk away from, but that I carry. And then I got the sun rising over the ocean between my hips. That was more of a matching symmetry thing for me. And after that, she gave me a bunch of different star tattoos. I have nautical stars in the ditches of my elbows that are upside down for normal direction, or the way that you would normally see a star placed. They're 5-pointed stars, and they're pointing towards my hands because I want to remember that the way that I'm going is the way that I'm supposed to be going, and to remember to trust myself. Yeah, I don't know. We talked about a bunch of those things before we did them. I have wings on my ankles because I wanted to be light on my feet. Or want to be.
Do you still keep in touch with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. She did the back piece that I have when we moved into the house.
Okay. She's here in the Bay?
No.
Okay.
She is from Boston, and she's now working out of Providence, I think, Rhode Island. She has a shop there. Mm-hmm. She does a lot of... she works on a lot of folks who have had top surgery and mastectomies, helping them get the coloration of their areola and the definition back in their nipples.
Oh, cool.
And
Is she
tattooing
queer?
her scars. She's not queer.
Okay.
She got married a bunch of years back and had a kid, and they seem very happy, and I don't know what their arrangement is. And
Cool.
yeah, we haven't really kept in touch to that degree. Mm-hmm. I know that she has when I met her, she had a partner and who was a man, and they had a third for a bunch of years. And I think they were the first trouble that I knew of.
Yeah, it sounds like a very influential person in your life.
That, and she looks like the first person that I had a crush on who was a girl. It was a lot of things. It was a bit much. It was a little heavy-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a crush on her?
I mean, I have a crush on most of the competent people in my life. So that's
Yeah.
a hard question to answer.
Fair.
Yes?
That's fair.
Yeah.
She sounds like an amazing human.
She's really delightful. She's really funny. She's extremely charismatic. She's very smart.
I would love to follow her on Instagram.
I'll set you up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. She's great. And we've kept in contact very, very casually over the years, but it's very easy to just sort of fall back into a cadence with her in a very sweet way. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
How did you find your way to my table?
Let's see. My wife came home with a bandana from your shop, and we put it on the dog, and I didn't read it. And then I opened it one day, and I was totally baffled that my dog had a cooler bandana than I did.
Dogs get the better bandanas.
Man, always, always. She was obsessed with that thing. Every time we took it off her, she would nose at it until we would put it back on her. It was very cute. And then, despite the fact that you have apparently tattooed a shitload of my friends, very close friends of mine, and our housemate is scheduled to see you in March, we met at gay camp in the woods. And that was...
Alexei is your housemate?
Alexei is our housemate.
Okay. Yeah.
He's really excited. I encouraged him to talk to you about design instead of having a friend of ours draw out the thoughts for it, because I was like, it will mean more to the both of you, and you will develop and create a better connection if you do that in a way that actually connects you. Mm-hmm. If you're just bringing someone art and you're like, here, put this on your wall, like, great, put it on your wall. But why wouldn't you go to an artist and say, can you help me?
It's a myth that people who don't have a lot of tattoos think that our job is to literally tattoo, that, you know, that we're not, that it's too much to ask somebody to create a thing. I mean, I think it's less and less of a myth of a thing, you know, but I think it's from the old times when people thought that our job is just a tattoo and you have the designs on the wall, and if you come and bring the thing, it just makes our lives easier. And then the fact, you're right, we want that opportunity to create the art, to add our own twist on the idea, for sure.
Were you an artist before you started tattooing people?
Yes, but not, I didn't go to art school.
Okay.
So I've been drawing, I was an only child. And a lot of the toys that my family got for me, you know, that I played with all the time by myself were art-related toys. Like, there was some paint by number situations. There was a little designy, I don't know if you had this here in the States, and this was like a toy we had in Russia. It probably came from Europe, but it had these plastic plates that had patterns on them, like 3D patterns on them. And then you had these drawings of women, and like you'd put the little plates together to create an outfit on the specific like drawings of women, and then you would use the patterny tiles to make a pattern on it was like this whole drawing designing thing. It was silly, but I loved it as a little kid.
It sounds super cool.
It was really fun. It's like sort of high tech for being like a kid who grew up with wooden toys, you know?
Yeah. It sounds very neat.
Yeah. And then I would like take playing cards, like literally playing cards, and look at the queens and the kings and like draw little outfits for them. And then I would draw my own paper dolls with little outfits. Like, I did a lot of that kind of thing. So I was into designing. And like drawing also, just snowflakes, like things like that, you know? So yeah, and I took a lot of art classes, but all pretty casually. And then in college, I was a photography major. And that's art for sure, different. I do wish I had more of an actual art education sometimes. I don't feel like I have the time to pursue that, you know, in a really real way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you live in Russia?
Until I was 12.
Okay. And how old are you now?
I will be 39.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at you flipping the interview back at me.
Hey.
It's a conversation.
Know. People want to know about you.
People want to know. It's a conversation. It's not, you know, I don't think of it as like an interview.
That's good.
It's a chat.
I figure you can edit out anything you don't want anyway.
For
so
sure.
Why not?
I'm just chatting with my friends here.
And just for that one episode where you finally give us all the tea about you. Now you have some.
I'm open. I'm an open book. I carry the heart on the sleeve, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you found your way to me kind of in a roundabout way.
Roundabout way?
People. Actually, I was supposed to tattoo your wife right before the pandemic. There were foxes.
There were foxes?
I think so.
Not a phoenix?
I think there were foxes. Because you're a fox?
She's a fox.
But you're a fox too?
No,
You're not a fox?
I'm a pup. It's different.
Maybe I remember foxes. Maybe there was just the one. Oh, maybe it's because you call her a fox.
Probably.
And that's why she wanted a fox.
Yeah.
So maybe there's just one fox.
Probably. I have a kitsune on my back.
Okay.
That is her.
Nice. With 9 tails?
6.
Oh, she has 6 tails.
Yeah, 9's the end of the journey. I figure she's still on it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, kitsune is
Yeah.
a really cool image.
It's inside of a soundwave file of her singing.
Oh, wow.
It was the first thing I heard her sing. It's a soundwave file of the first thing I heard her sing because I felt it down my entire spine. So I got a back piece.
How did you meet?
Whitney and I. We met at the climbing gym I worked at. I used to climb by myself a lot. And I would wear my headphones and have my iPod in my pocket and climb. Mostly bouldering because I like to be alone, and it was how I would decompress after work or on my break. And she came over and asked me some question about a bouldering problem. And I told her about it. And in her very effusive, charismatic way, she dragged me over to meet her boyfriend. And I arched my eyebrow all the way up into my hairline and went, huh.
What kind of boyfriend? Like a cis boyfriend?
Yeah.
She had a cis man boyfriend?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine that.
She hasn't dated very many women.
My mind's blown right now.
I'm her second relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also just like knowing who she's got a crush on, like another super queer person.
The gays. All the gays.
Well, she probably, would she, I don't know. This is a conversation I guess I should have with her, not with you. But I'm just like, okay, cool. She dragged you over to meet her at-the-time boyfriend. And then what happened?
And then I probably saw her off and on in the gym a couple of times. I think she climbed with her sister and felt compelled for no reason to introduce me to her sister. It was very interesting. I feel like I'm very good at exuding a stay the fuck away from me field when I want to be left alone. And she's very good at ignoring that.
Did you exude that?
I thought I was doing that. Everyone else left me the fuck alone.
But did you, when you first met her, were you like, wow, this woman's gorgeous?
No. I was like, this person keeps asking me questions while I'm trying to fucking climb. And that was it. And then five or so years later, I had taken Bart into San Francisco, which I still do very rarely. I'm moderately phobic of public transit because I'm not very good at it, which is probably a story I need to rewrite for myself. But I was walking through somewhere in the Mission BART station trying to figure out how to leave underground. And
there are signs,
Probably. Yeah. I think I was just following a crowd of people and being a little spacey. And someone sort of grabbed my arm near my elbow and said, "Hey, I know you." And I was like, okay, good. Because I have mild face blindness. And so I didn't know who the fuck she was. And she told me her name. And I was like, "Oh, I met you at the climbing gym." She was like, "Oh, that's right. Well, I'm late, so I'm going to go." And like had a bicycle with her and then just
left.
Yep. Just toddled off into the distance. And I was like, well, that was fucking weird. And about 5 years after that, my partner and I ran into her at the Burning Man. I had finally let my partner at the time convince me to go work with her at the Burning Man. I told her if she got me a job,
The
I'd go.
Burning Man.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever heard anybody in the Bay Area especially refer to it as the Burning Man.
It is the Burning Man.
Continue.
So we were working at the Burning Man and she was there and we interacted. And then I think maybe the following summer, my partner at the time and I ended up at a dinner party at her house.
Randomly.
With the same group of people that my partner knew through the Burning Man.
The Burning Man.
It was the Burning Man dinner. It wasn't. It was just a dinner party with her and a bunch of friends, and it was really sweet. And she pulled me aside at some point, or we ended up in conversation. It was sort of a big round of us sitting in the living room eating. We were swapping chairs so that we could have conversations with people we didn't know well. And she ended up next to me at some point and said, "My friends have told me that you are a person who has a lot of integrity and that we probably have a lot in common and that maybe we should go and get a coffee or a tea together sometime." And I said, "That sounded nice. And maybe what are you doing next week? And I guess I'll get your phone number. Oh, wait, I have your phone number. Because when I met you at the Burning Man, you had me take a picture of your hair because you had just taken all of these braids out. So I have your phone number, so I will text you." And it turned out she was leaving to go on tour.
With the band, yeah.
No, on a book tour.
A book tour.
Yeah. And
what book tour? Should I write a book?
No, she didn't write a book. Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking book.
Yeah, she was traveling with Amanda Palmer.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she was I don't actually know what she was doing for Amanda on that tour. But she was about to leave for that. And so we started this very sweet check-in text flirtation where I would ask her where she was, and then I would pick a sense. I think when she was in Philly, I asked her what the best thing she tasted all day was, and what the best smell was from New York. And that went on for a couple of weeks. The tour came through San Francisco and then passed, and when they were in San Francisco, we hung out, and it was very sweet. We cuddled on a couch, and we watched my partner at the time flirt with someone who they ended up eventually dating also, which was very cute. And she came back into town, and I said, do you want to have dinner and awkward conversations? Because she and my partner at the time had the same previous ex who did not enjoy that we had that in common and was very upset with me. I thought it meant we had a lot in common.
Yeah, right.
And that we would probably get along.
That everybody's into the whole family thing.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It went a little bit weird and a little sideways at different points, but... So we got dinner at some point when she was back in town and had awkward conversations, and that was that. I think our first date was on the 1st of December in 2014.
So at what point were you like, I'm interested in romantically involving myself with this human?
That date.
That first date?
Well, knowing that it was a date, I didn't know it was a date until she kissed me. And it was like, oh, it's a date. Which apparently I'm pretty sure I said out loud. She was like, yeah, of course it is. I'm like, oh, okay. Neat. I thought we were just having dinner and awkward conversation. Cool.
And then snowballed.
Absolutely daft. Yeah, snowballed. A person that I was extremely close to in Miami died that winter, and I ended up going back to Miami for her memorial. And there's something about her death that was very compelling to me in the direction of making sure not to lose my connection. I get very anxious about my connection with Whit and what would happen if, even in these very young, infantile phases of this relationship, if something happened to one of the two of us, how would we find each other in the ether? And there's something very bizarrely compelling about that, specifically in regards to her. And I don't know. I don't know that I've developed such a strong connection to anyone quite so quickly.
And that's why you married her.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I married her. It seemed like a good idea.
Did you also get engaged first?
I told her that I thought it would be a good idea if we got married. And we made our engagement announcement on Facebook the day that we eloped, which was a year and a half before the party that we had for our wedding.
Mm-hmm. I heard it was a fabulous party.
I heard that too. I was a little overwhelmed. I heard it was very fashionable and very gay.
Yeah, I've heard that. Okay, I have some random questions for you.
I love random questions.
What are some things that you like to put on top of your food?
Sriracha.
Just top sriracha, mostly. That's it?
Mostly that's it, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Easy go-to.
What is your ideal day like?
Oh, wow. My ideal day probably involves sleeping in, cold brew, easy breakfast.
Cold brew, no hot coffee in the morning?
I don't drink hot coffee.
Interesting.
Unless I'm working.
Okay.
I mean, unless I'm actively on a job
Unless
site.
someone's giving it to you, they're like, here you go, coffee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I always drink cold brew.
Okay.
I drink it in the winter. It makes people fucking crazy. I don't know. It's a really easy, consistent way to make coffee.
I envy you.
It always tastes the same. It's really good.
Yeah. Okay, so cold brew. Go on.
Cold brew?
Yeah.
Yeah. A project that's easy. An easy thing to check off a list. Just a little serotonin bump. Always feels good. Something with other people involved, ideally.
Like a meal or like an activity?
An activity. Mm-hmm. I love a group activity that results in checking a thing off a list. I think it helps bond people, and I think it feels really nice. I really do think it helps with serotonin. I think good brain chemicals are hard to come by these days. So that. Simple lunch, maybe a walk. Probably not. Cartoons, maybe.
What kind of cartoons?
Avatar.
Not Tom and Jerry.
Do you have any idea how hard it is to find fucking Tom and Jerry these days?
I don't. That's what I watched my whole childhood. So that's what my idea of cartoons is.
I feel like it's so difficult to find old Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay.
But maybe I'm looking in the wrong places.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe this will inspire someone to reach out to you and tell us where we can watch Saturday morning cartoons.
I mean, I would probably... So I don't have an Amazon membership anymore. I deleted mine because I fucked them. But I would be like, do you have Prime? Let's go on Amazon and see if we can find it there or pay for it there.
Fair. Fine. I have
Probably
Prime.
what I would do.
We can do that. We'll plan like a Sunday where I come over with like a bunch of... Do you drink Bloody Marys?
Yeah.
I'll bring a bunch of pickles over and we'll just like Bloody Mary bar and watch fucking cartoons in our jammies and
Yeah.
cuddle the dog.
Yeah.
That seems fun.
And then, you know what we could have for lunch? I just saw this IG video that was... Someone had... The idea was like a waffle iron, which I don't have, but my neighbors do. But they put rice in it.
I'm listening.
And they made rice into the shape of a waffle.
I'm still listening.
And they put nori on it, and they put like poke on it. I think it was some kind of like a tuna thing with like maybe some mayo sauce. But it looked so good. I was like, that's the kind of waffle I'd have. Because I don't really like sweet breakfast.
Yeah, no.
So like pancakes or waffles don't do a ton for me. But I was like, this is a good lunch idea.
Fair.
Like a waffle-shaped rice with fish on it.
I love a savory waffle, which I didn't think that I would, but I made stuffing waffles after the day formerly known as Thanksgiving one year. And they were fucking delicious. It's like with a little bit of sourdough starter as the base for it.
That sounds amazing.
And then leftover stuffing.
Yeah.
And gravy with like a scoop of mashed potatoes on top.
That sounds like a really nice layered carb concoction.
Yeah. Yeah, and then a nap.
And then a nap.
Yeah, my ideal day would definitely involve naps.
And like that concoction and a nap. Yes, that sounds amazing.
Several concoctions and a nap.
So then what happens after the nap?
Beverages, lots of beverages. Any beverages. They don't need to have alcohol in them. That's not really the point.
Okay.
It's just like...
Things to drink.
Yeah. Always 1,000 beverages.
Like tea.
Yeah. Tea.
Do you like
some
tea?
Juice. I love tea.
But you don't like hot drinks. You like a cold tea. Or you would drink hot tea.
I drink hot tea. I do drink hot coffee. It's just not my preference.
Okay. You know what I drink like all day long?
What?
Hot water.
Just hot water?
Just hot water.
Nothing in?
Nothing in it. Just hot water.
Why?
Perfect hot water is at about 140, 145 degrees.
My mouth would blister and abandon me if I drank 140 degree.
Well, 135 is
water.
Like a perfect cup. But I want it to be a little hotter so that it doesn't get cold too quickly.
You have one of those annoying kettles that has the fucking temperatures on it, don't you?
Yes, but a couple years ago, actually it was last winter, I bought Liz one of those cups that holds temperature. Mm-hmm. You know, you charge it and then you put a beverage in it and it holds the temperature of your coffee or tea or whatever at that temperature.
Is this how you learned about the 135 thing?
Yes.
Fuck, dude.
Yes.
You guys are the worst.
It's like what they suggest. You try. And then they're like, if you want it hotter or cooler, then you adjust it.
There was a really funny TikTok that I saw that was somebody being like, do you know what the weirdest thing is? And it was how your body reacts to temperature, different parts of your body react to temperature. Mm-hmm. Like 135 degrees in your mouth doesn't feel like 135 mm-hmm. degrees on your hand.
Right.
Like you couldn't get into a hot tub that was 135
You're
degrees.
Right.
You
yeah.
absolutely could not.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
but,
you're right.
Because you're saying 135 degrees, and a part of my reaction is that I used to train a lot of people to make coffee and steam milk. And one of the ways that you teach people to do that is you have them hold the metal pitcher as it mm-hmm. warms up because it transfers heat very quickly. Mm-hmm. And when you can start feeling temperatures 100 degrees, mm-hmm. and that is about when the proteins and things start to foam. Mm-hmm. That's where the foam comes from. So as you're incorporating air into it, you allow a little bit more at a time in as it gets warmer. So as you start to feel the temperature, you start to let more air in and you bring your hands down.
Oh, nice.
And so it's funny to me to think that you're like 135 degrees because I'm like, that would smell like burnt shit.
Yeah, that's interesting. But it's just water, so...
It's just water. I mean, it probably wouldn't smell like burnt shit. That's probably what temperature it got to.
Yeah, exactly.
We weren't trained with thermometers. I don't actually know.
No, but I mean, when you get coffee out and it's like tastes burnt, sometimes you're like, you did that too fast or whatever you did to it's not good, Yes, I hate the taste of burnt coffee. I like a bitter coffee. I don't want it to be burnt though. It's very different.
Like the bitter in coffee. Okay.
I do. I want it to be earthy and a little bitter. I don't like it sour tasting.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's a lot of what the kind of current trends in fancy coffee are, is because like on the sour side.
Under roasted and they're pulling it before the second crack. The second mm-hmm. crack is the thing that sort of pulls the grassy sour out of coffee.
Mm. So yeah, I like it very...
But bitter.
On the bitter side, earthy, bitter kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not a big coffee connoisseur. It's interesting to know these things.
Yeah.
Okay, so what time would you go to bed on your perfect day?
3 a.m.
Really? You're a night owl?
So hard. It's the worst thing ever.
What would you do between like midnight and 3?
Everything. If I could get away with it because we own our home, I would absolutely do house chores and hang art and all sorts of shit. I feel very, very productive between midnight and 3 a.m.
I mean, you live in a house and not an apartment building, so you could do whatever.
I live with 4 other people.
Okay, fair.
I get dressed in the living room so I don't wake my wife up when I have to get up early for work. Like, I'm not gonna...
Okay.
Yeah.
They should all be out of town, and then you could...
They should all get the fuck out so I can just...
they should all go get the fuck out once in a while.
Just so that I can live like a gremlin.
Well, I think that's the thing, about sharing space. Like, you own your home with other people, and you have other people live there. So that's one thing. Mm-hmm. But, like... And that's what makes it possible for you to be in the Bay in this way, to own home in the Bay. But in general, like, the idea of not having alone time in a house, like, terrifies me. Like, I totally... Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I don't own, right? Because if I owned, I'd have to do the same thing.
But ways around it. But, yeah.
But, yes. Like, the idea of having to share space all the time with people who are not your partner.
I think that, we are the two I think that the two of us are the most social of our household. And so we chose our bedroom sort of based on that, like, because we're on the shared floor of the house. Mm-hmm. We're the only bedroom that's on the main floor with the kitchen and the living room and the things that you would consider shared space. Mm-hmm. And the other 3 of them have space that is their own, just for them. Mm-hmm. And they can go to those spaces whenever they want.
Except for you two.
And they frequently do. Yeah. Except for us two, a little. I mean, we can go into our room, and be alone. And Whit has her massage office. Mm-hmm. And there is yet another room, 2 other rooms upstairs. We have a craft room, and we have a spare bedroom. that's
awesome.
outfitted.
Yeah.
So there is space.
Wait, your house is 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom?
It's 7 rooms.
Okay, but
There's
they're not
6.
all the same size.
No, there are 6 rooms upstairs. There's 6 rooms upstairs, and there's the 1 room downstairs. And technically, 2 of those rooms are conjoined, so it's 1 room. Mm-hmm. But there's the 2 rooms that are conjoined, the spare room, Alexei's room, craft room, massage room.
Nice.
And then our room. And then the basement is half speakeasy and half workshop.
Mm-hmm. Impressive. Okay. So one of our last questions. If you couldn't do what you're doing now, and money wasn't a thing, and you didn't have to like go to school or whatever, you were just like snap fingers, you have another career, what would you be doing? And the money's not a thing, so you could be like, I want to drive a bus, whatever. I don't know how much they make, but
I don't know. I think to start with, because probably more than one thing, because I would get bored.
Yeah, fill up 3 lifetimes.
Yeah.
Give me 3 options.
All right. I'd fly a helicopter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what kind? Because there's tourist ones, there's like official capacity ones.
Probably more like a medevac situation.
Okay.
I like the idea of being competent in that trade enough to be able to transport people who are in need of quick transport safely. Mm-hmm. I think that would require a level of skill that I would like to obtain. That.
Okay.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I'm only drawing on the things that I've done already. Well, not that. I haven't been a fancy helicopter pilot.
Yeah, like something different,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
I like networking. I think it's nice. I think connecting people with other people and helping people fulfill their needs feels really nice. Mm. But I don't really know what that would be as a thing. I started this business during the pandemic to try to help employ my queer friends. And it's really difficult to wrangle gays into doing work because we're all on our own shit, doing a ton of things and trying to hustle.
Because I love the idea of networking and helping each other succeed.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
I think that's mostly what I do for my business at this point. Like, we aren't actively doing a ton of projects. We don't have our hands on a bunch of things. We're mostly connecting to other queer small business owners who do carpet, who paint, who
perfect
understand roofing,
Yeah.
Like, okay, I could do it, but it would take a really long time for me to watch enough videos to feel competent enough to change out the shingles on your roof.
Yeah.
And there are companies that already exist that do that.
Right.
So while, yes, you would be supporting community, I will lose my mind. And nobody really wants that.
What is a small thing that's been making you happy lately?
Oh, rough. It has been a rough month. Small thing that's been making me happy lately.
Just the small thing.
I bought new socks.
Okay.
I bought new socks and I love them.
What kind of socks?
They're Bombas.
Okay.
Yeah. I always buy the black ones. I buy an 8-pack of the black ones like once every 2 years or so, 3 years. And it was time. They've been slowly going missing. I don't know why.
They go to the special sock world.
They go to the special sock world that is not here.
And they all hang out together. Well, good. I'm glad you bought yourself new socks.
Yeah. They're great.
I so appreciate you coming over to do this with me in person at my house with my snoring dog in the bed next to us.
So cute.
She's really cute. If people could see her, they probably would be less annoyed about the snoring.
The snoring is comforting. There's something very stabilizing
it's
about
true.
that.
in person. I feel like over audio it's a little bit less so.
Just gruffly.
Yeah, just kind of gruffly. Like, who is that? But she's very cute. And I think you're brilliant and amazing, and I so appreciate your presence in my life.
Oh man, hard saying, bud.
Peace out.
Okay, bye.